Cindy Watts live chat, what she said about Chris Watts and her feelings about his innocence, and QAnon father kills kids alleging that they have serpent DNA. Is this the next Chris Watts case? So it was brought to my attention yesterday that Cindy Watts was on a channel of somebody who she claims is a friend. And I'm saying she was allegedly in chat. I'm not saying she was for certain, because, you never know who's pretending to be somebody these days. And with all the rumors and with all the lies that are spread around on YouTube, particularly when it comes to true crime channels, I'm not saying that it was definitely Cindy Watts, but I am aware that this woman who runs the channel claims to be a friend of Cindy Watts. And, she was talking about how Chris Watts is innocent and basically blaming everything on Chris Watts' mistress, Nicole Kessinger. We all know who she is. It's a very popular theory that Nicole Kessinger was there that night and she's guilty. So Cindy Watts, and I'm saying this was allegedly her in live chat. Cindy Watts was saying things like, let me just get the comments up. She was saying things like, I would never have come on this channel if so-and-so wasn't a friend. I can't see how he could have done this. I raised him. I know him. He said what he said in Wisconsin to stop it. He is a prisoner and didn't have rights. No one would talk to me. We've asked for DNA on Nico. We've asked for his phone. Nothing. We wanted to talk again to the public defenders, but no one will talk to us. We have tried, but nothing happens. You have to have influence or money, she says. There is something very wrong in this case. So judging by the remarks or comments made by Cindy Watts in live chat, allegedly Cindy Watts in live chat, it seems to be true, and it seems that I'm right in saying that she's still in denial over what her son did and the crimes that her son committed. Now, let me just say this. I understand the shame. I understand the disbelief that you raised a child and you didn't see any abnormalities in him. And to hear that he's done something so horrific and terrible would be a shock. So even though I don't have much sympathy for Cindy Watts because of her behavior towards Shanann, I think she's been very disrespectful towards Shanann in death. So even though I have much sympathy for her in general in regards to this case, I can understand the shock, the shame, the humiliation, the hurt, the pain, and all of that stuff that she would have felt finding out what happened. And the pride that she had as a mother, a huge dent in her pride. So I think that I think that the Watts know deep down that Chris is guilty. I think they know that he did it. But I think because they're so proud, they put so much effort and pride into their children, and they had so much pride in Chris, I think actually admitting it to themselves and admitting it to the world is just something that they will never be prepared to do. So I think that Cindy Watts, she knows that her son's guilty, but she still wallows in the denial because that makes her feel better. That means that she can actually, go out and face the world. I think she lives with shame and all that kind of stuff. I think her pride has been completely eroded. But I think she knows deep down that he did it. But at the same time, she desperately wants to blame somebody else, which is Shanann. And you have people encouraging her delusions. You have people like Seeking the Truth with Dave saying that Chris Watts is innocent and he didn't do anything and that it's all Nicole Kessinger's fault or her father's fault. And you have other channels like this particular woman who is supposedly friends with Cindy Watts saying that he's innocent. So I've got workmen doing stuff behind me, so I don't know if you can hear it. It's very annoying. I think people like Miss Mensah, Kim Kaufman, Seeking the Truth of Dave, all these channels who claim that Chris Watts is innocent, I think it does give her some, I wouldn't say ammunition because she has no ammunition. I think it gives her some kind of hope. I think she knows that he's never going to be released. I think she knows that she said something about that Chris will not cooperate. So I think she knows that he's never going to be released. I think she knows deep down that he's never getting out of prison, in terms of they're never going to release him. You know, he could just try to escape, of course, but then they're never going to release him. But I think the only thing that she can hold on to is delusion and denial, because I think that's the only thing that makes her feel just a little bit better. And I think the people who are saying that he's innocent and trying to encourage her with this lunacy, I think that they are not really her friends either. They're not really her support either. They're not really looking out for her best interest either. I think they're just giving her false hope. Whether they're intentionally doing that or not, I don't know. But I think there's a lot of people, pretending to be supportive of her, who are just two-faced, know full well that Chris Watts is guilty. And they're just giving her false hope. But I think that she hangs on to every word said of innocence, because that's the only way she can live with the shame that she currently is living with. But I know to think that Chris Watts is actually innocent, knowing all that she knows and knowing that he put his own children in oil tanks, is just preposterous. I mean, it's obvious that he did it. It's obvious that Shanann didn't dig her own grave. It's obvious that Shanann was protective of her children. She was extremely protective of those kids. And I don't know if Nicole Kessinger had anything to do with it. I believe that she was the catalyst. I believe that if he hadn't met Nicole Kessinger, that everybody would possibly be alive. But I think there was a lot of things wrong in that marriage. And I think that Nicole Kessinger was just, I think she was the jumping off point. She was the person that made him switch. But I don't believe that she was there. I don't believe that she is the instigator or the mastermind at all. Do I think that she had something to do with it? Possibly, but I don't see the evidence that she had anything to do with it at all. And I have to go on evidence. So anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is this QAnon guy who apparently killed both of his children, one a boy, the other a girl, because he believed these crazy QAnon conspiracy theories and thought his children had serpent DNA and were going to turn into zombies. That sounds familiar. What is it with all these people killing their children? I mean, I don't know much about this case, so I'm not going to do a thorough, I'm not going to do a thorough analysis on it or anything like that. I'm very much looking forward to finding out more about this case and trying to understand why this happened. But this is another guy who looks very normal, had a beautiful wife, absolutely gorgeous kids. And apparently everyone who knew him thought he was just a normal, everyday, average guy. So what is it with all these guys who look normal, who have these beautiful families? What is it about them? Why are they resorting to killing their own children? Why didn't he kill himself? I mean, why kill his children? I mean, they had no say in their future, none whatsoever. But I'm very, very interested in this case, and I really would love to know more. I don't tend to invest much time in cases that I don't know much about. And this is a case that, unfortunately, I don't know much about. I need to know more. I don't know if it's mental illness, or he's just plain evil, or he was just upset that day, or whether he was having an affair. I don't know enough about it, but I'm very, very curious about this case. And I wonder if it will become the next Chris Watts case on YouTube. Probably not, but I'm going to watch this space. There's two other cases I want to talk about. One of them I've wanted to talk about on this channel for a long time. That's the Delphi case. I call it Down the Hill. The murders of those two girls in Delphi. I'm trying to remember what their names are. Delphi Girls Murder. Abigail Williams and Liberty German. I'm so upset that case hasn't been solved, because I remember watching many crime shows on that case, and I was always very interested and very eager for them to catch the person that did it. I believe the person that they recorded who said those words, "go down the hill," I believe that he's the one who murdered those girls. But it's just such a sad case, and I just don't think it was a good idea. I'm not blaming anybody, but I just don't think it was a good idea for their mother to allow them to be walking in that area alone by themselves, in bushy areas with a lot of trees, areas that are slightly isolated, a lot of bushland, railways. Never good to be walking around in those types of areas when you're a kid. Just not a good idea. The other case I want to talk about very, very, very briefly, and then I'm going to end this, is the Suzanne Morphew case. I wish I had more interest in this case. I just don't. That's just the honest truth. I've heard that Suzanne Morphew was allegedly having an affair. The reason why I have very little interest in this case, although I'm not as interested in this case as I would like to be, is because I just don't have enough information. That's part of it. It's not the full story, because I have very much interest in the QAnon case, and I don't have much information on that. The other thing with this case is that they haven't found Suzanne Morphew's body. So, with the body still missing, or her still missing, I don't have much information. I like a case that, is in it, everything is in its place. All the, there might be a few puzzle pieces missing, but I kind of know what's going on. I will have an idea what's going on. There might be one or two missing elements. There's so many missing elements with the Morphew case that actually spending time on investigating, analyzing it, or researching it, or talking in length about it, just kind of doesn't persuade me, or doesn't entice me at all. The other thing I want to touch on very, very quickly, and then I'm going to cut off, is the Summer Wells case. That seems to be a very popular case right now, but once again, I just don't have enough information to really go into things. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say, and have a good night, have a good morning, wherever you are in the world.